とギークのエッセンシャル漫画オタクとドンギークのエッセンシャル漫画みんなで集まって楽しもうみんなで集まって楽しもう最高のストーリー笑顔で届け最高のストーリー顔で届けエッセンシャル漫画素敵な世界
Welcome everyone to otakusandgeeks.com. Justin here, back with another episode of Essential Manga. This is episode 9, my friends, and today we're going to be talking about this cybernetic nightmare of isolation and survival. Of course, we're talking about blame. And you know, folks, there are a few mangas out there that really embody the overwhelming scale and isolation of cyberpunk, quite like Blame does. And this truly is a masterpiece of dystopian horror and minimalistic storytelling. Blame presents a world consumed by an ever expanding megastructure where humanity is nearly extinct, and survival means navigating this unfathomable labyrinth of steel and concrete. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the story, the artwork, and why we feel Blame is essential manga reading for all my cyberpunk fans out there and manga enthusiasts alike. So, without further ado, my friends, let's talk about the story. So, at its core, Blame follows Killy, a mysterious protagonist with a unknown past and a single goal: to find a human possessing the net terminal genes, which is a lost genetic trait that would help allow humanity to reconnect with the governing AI of the city. Without this connection, the world will remain in a state of chaos, overrun by a terrifying creatures known as the Safeguard, who are ruthlessly eliminating any unregistered human presence. So, as Killy's journey is marked by encounters with various factions, from scattered human survivors to rogue cyborgs and enigmatic silicone based life forms, along the way, he is joined by Shibo, a scientist with her own motivations who assist him in uncovering the deeper mysteries of the city. However, Blame is not a story driven by exposition or dialogue. It relies heavily on visual storytelling, using its massive scope and sprawling environments to communicate both the scale of its world and the isolation of its protagonist. The narrative unfolds in an almost dream-like manner where sequences of eerie silence are punctuated by sudden bursts of intense action, and the dialogue is sparse, characters remain enigmatic, and the overwhelming sense of loneliness is forever present in the manga. The storytelling approach makes Blame a unique experience, demanding that the reader engage with the world through observation rather than explanation. And if you're not really familiar with that type of storytelling, or if you're not really comfortable with that storytelling, then I will actually encourage you to really pick it up, because just it's just a way of telling it that makes this such a good story and a good manga, because you have to kind of study everything that is on the page. You have to look for little nuances in there, and just to even tell characterization with very less dialogue, because just emotion through just the visuals alone just is a testament to how good Blame really is. And speaking of that, it wouldn't work well without the artwork. So let's talk a little bit about it. The art is where the story really is going to shine here, just due to the concept of how the story is laid out. And the manga is defined by its breathtaking, vast structure, massive towers stretching endlessly into the void, abandoned mega cities crumbling under their own weight, and just this labyrinth of corridors that seemingly extend beyond reality itself. The world of Blame feels alien, yet hauntingly familiar. The use of high octane contrast, black and white shading gives the city a bleak, oppressive atmosphere. The characters often dwarf the landscapes around them, appear fragile and insignificant in comparison to the inhuman scale of their surroundings. This really does a good job of reinforcing the themes of isolation and existential dread, I should say. Action sequences are another highlight of the manga. Combat is brutal, kinetic, and often instantaneous. Characters are torn apart in an instant by hyper advanced weaponry and Killy's signature gravitational beam emitter, which is called GBE, obliterates anything in its path, leaving behind massive holes in the seemingly indestructible structure. And while traditional shonen manga blame opts for a raw, almost mechanical approach to violence, where fights are less about choreographed spectacle and more visceral and more about survival and hostile, uncaring world. And this manga, I tell you, is just that. Very visceral, very uncaring, very in your face, and it's just a beautiful manga to look at. But you're probably wondering, why is this on Essential Manga? I'm going to give you a couple of reasons before we wrap it up. So let's talk a little bit about why this is essential manga. A couple of reasons why Blame is essential for essential manga is one, its unique approach to storytelling. As we said before, unlike most cyberpunk stories that rely on exposition and character development, Blame is almostly entirely driven by its atmosphere and its setting. It forces the reader to explore the city alongside our characters, piecing together fragments of lore through visual storytelling and very sparse dialogue. Now, usually I will be like, okay, we need more character development, we need to be cut and dry, but just because for this particular concept and the way the world was built, it really actually works, and credit to the creator for being able to pull it off. And of course, it's example of cyberpunk horror. It isn't just cyberpunk, it's cyberpunk horror. The safeguards have this grotesque biomechanical design, and merciless pursuit of intruders are truly terrifying. And the overwhelming scale of the city creates this sense of helplessness, and lack of a clear solution for our character's journey enhances that dread. You're gonna read this, and you're gonna feel that dread. And of course, let us talk about a little bit of the influences here. It has inspired many works across different mediums, as influence can be seen in later cyberpunk anime and manga, as well as video games like Dark Souls, believe it or not, which adopts a similar storytelling approach to environmental designs, and how even Netflix's adaptation of later works like such as Knights of Sidonia, which owes much to Blaine's aesthetics and thematic roots. So to wrap this up, while Blame is not an easy read, it does demand patience, attention, and a willingness to embrace ambiguity. The but I will say this: for those who can immerse themselves in the world and offer an experience unlike any other, this one definitely does it. The ability to craft an overwhelming, haunting cyberpunk landscape with minimum dialogue, and maximum atmosphere cements Blame as a masterpiece of its own genre. If you're a fan of cyberpunk, existential horror, or just masterfully drawn dystopian worlds, Blame is essential reading for you. And I highly recommend you check this one out. This is Justin from otakusandgeeks.com. What did you think of Blame? Who is your favorite character? Comment below, let me know. This has been Essential Manga episode 9. If you like what we do here, hopefully we earn your subscription. And if we did, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, the notification bell. Helps out the algorithm tremendously. I'll be back with episode 10 very soon, my friends. Later days, peace, love, and happiness to you all.